So here is our eighth video in our Maxwell equation series. This is the eighth video. In last video, we discussed something about position time graph and another graph that we need to discuss is a velocity time graph. But to complete this topic, we have to have the knowledge about relative motion. What is the relative motion? I haven't explained the relative motion. So this part is dedicated to explain what is a relative motion to you. So I hope you would enjoy. Let's see what is a relative motion. When you hear about relative motions, what is a relative motion? So relative motion as definition wise is very simple. It is the motion observed by you with respect to other. I wrote this definition in such a way so that you can understand what is a relative motion with respect to you. If you can understand the relative motion with respect to you, the concept basically, then you can apply this on any other cases. So welcome in back video series in eighth video. In last video, we have discussed something about graph, what is a straight line equation is, and we started a position time graph, and I told you the two graph on a single moving object. When the motion of two objects is considered, you have to know the relative motion. So here I am to explain you in this video what is a relative motion is. It's a very simple definition. I wrote the definition in by your perspective. It is the motion observed by you with respect to other. If you understand this, you can understand all the definitions of relative motions. So it is the motion that you observed when you are moving or the other thing also moving which you comparing with it. Suppose you are moving with some velocity A, and another object moving with velocity VB in same direction, or suppose at some moment of time you are at this line, then what how will you observe the motion of B, because you cannot observe yourself moving. So what you can observe is other thing moving relative to you when you are move. So when you're comparing your motion with respect to B, you can only see what B is doing. So to describe what B is doing with respect to you, we define this relative motion and we calculate as followed. Relative velocity with respect to A, relative velocity of A with respect to B is given by velocity of A minus velocity of B. To explain you explain you better, I have also written an example. That is, if suppose you are moving with velocity 10 meter per second and the other body is moving with velocity 2 meter per second in same direction, means both the velocities are positive or negative. Suppose I taken both the velocities as positive and try to find the relative velocity of u with respect to this body B is 10 minus 2, that is 8 meter per second. What is the meaning of 8 meter per second? Because you are moving with velocity 10 meter per second. So what this 8 meter per second means? It means that you would see this 8 meter per second that you are leading B by 8 meter per second, not 10 meter per second. That is your velocity with respect to frame of reference, rest frame of reference. That is the road with respect to you are moving, and you would see you are leading. This positive denotes you are leading the object B. So the relative velocity tells you your velocity with respect to other bodies, and it is very important topic. You cannot solve some of the problems even in NCERT without this understanding. I also want to explain you what B observes. What B observe, for this we have to rub this example and What B observe? So similarly, A is moving with 10 meter per second and B moving with 2 meter per second, both in same direction. And I want to know what is the relative velocity of B with respect to A. What it means is what B observes you when this happens. So for this, we have to shift the A and B, and for this we found that it is 2 minus 10, that is 8 meter per second, but with negative sign. So B observe minus 8 meter per second. What this minus 8 meter per second means, the observation of B is not that he is leading you. What he observed contrary, that he is lagging behind you by 8 meter per second. This minus denotes the lagging of B. It means B is moving slower than A, simply means. So this is the relative velocity. But what happens when things are moving in opposite direction? So let's take an example to understand that also. Suppose at some moment you are along with this object B, which is moving with some velocity. B means other, and this moving with velocity VB. VB, but in opposite direction. Let's take all the values are same. So if this direction is positive, then this direction must be negative. So 2 meter per second becomes minus 2 meter per second. And let's suppose first we find the relative velocity of A with respect to V, that is VAB. A 10 meter per second minus, there is already a minus, then minus 2 meter means it becomes 12 meter per second. So in previous case we observe the subtraction of velocity, but here we observe the addition of velocity. Means when you moving in this direction with 10 meter per second and this body is moving in this direction with 2 meter per second, you would observe this body as moving in this direction by 12 meter per second. So its velocity plus your velocity. But what B observes, similarly, V velocity of B with respect to A is VB minus A. So what is VB? Minus 2 minus 10, it becomes minus 12 meter per second. Similarly, minus denotes the direction. So it's observed that you are moving in opposite direction. What you see, that other is moving in this direction. What others see, that you are moving in this direction. So there is a difference of direction which is denoted by this positive and negative sign. So this is the concept of relative velocity. This is very necessary topic to explain, to do many problems. Now we can understand position time graph. So let's get back into our position time graph and let's see how relative motion is represent on a position time graph, and after that we would see the velocity time graph after that. So in this video we just explain you the relative motion. In next video we will go again in the xt graph by this knowledge, by this information, and explain you xt position graph.